In this week's AMT John Deere Fresh Produce Market overview, made possible by John Deere and Fieldnet Pivot Watch, we shift our focus to the fruit industry and discuss why avo, apple and pear prices can increase as we move closer to the end of this year. We also track the latest movements in vegetable prices, with potato prices decreasing slightly over the past week. All in this week's episode, so make sure to stay tuned. The rand's currently trading at 18.20 Rand per US dollar. The rand strengthened over the past few days due to investors fearing that China and the US might enter into a recession, as well as geopolitical conflict in the Middle East. International investors have given up on the idea of an emergency rate cut in interest rates, in the US especially, but are still very optimistic about a 50 basis point reduction in September. Local economists expect that South Africa will follow with a 25 basis point cut in September and another 25 basis points during November, which is of course based on the positive economic outlook that we have at the moment, the political stability, as well as the fact that we don't have load shedding, which is all very good news. The Brent crude oil price increased further to $80.30 per barrel due to increasing concerns about the stability of supply from the Middle East due to this escalating conflict, while higher demand for oil is also expected when the US will lower their interest rates. China is also currently printing more money, which could also support a demand for oil over the medium term. Moving over to the vegetable and fruit markets, we saw that almost all volumes traded on the markets decreased last week, but was mostly due to the shorter week and was not necessarily a real reflection on demand and supply. The past week, the average national potato price decreased by 3% to 77.92 Rand per 10 kg, with volumes 12% lower week on week. The large potato price traded lower on 85, mediums on 76 and smalls still trading on 60 Rand per 10 kg. Mondials traded lower on 78, Safras lower on 79 and Lenormas on 73, with the average price on Joburg market trading on 77.20 Rand per 10 kg. The average price is only about 2% higher at the moment compared to last year this time, but the price for August thus far is already higher when compared to the previous 4 seasons. As mentioned last week, we only expect the drop in volumes to come into the markets at the end of this month or the start of September. But the expectation for this week is for prices to remain mostly sideways due to the lower middle month demand that we're seeing at the moment. In the tomato market, we saw the price increasing by 16% to 9.37 Rand per kilogram, with volumes decreasing by 34%. Large tomatoes traded on 9.65 Rand, mediums on 9.67 Rand, while smalls increased to 8.35 Rand. Volumes on the markets are about 28% lower compared to a year ago, resulting in the price to trade 34% higher year on year. We realized higher prices in August 22 when the average volumes to the markets were abnormally low. I, however, believe we have more volumes this year, which could keep prices on a lower level over the next 2 months. The average carrot price increased to 4.25 per kilogram last week, while volumes decreased due to the shorter trading week as well. Large carrots traded on 4.25, mediums higher on 3.85, while smalls decreased to 2.64. Last year in August, we saw the average carrot price increasing to around 5 Rand per kilogram, with volumes decreasing over this period. We therefore can see higher carrot prices for the remainder of this month, with prices likely to move closer to the 5 Rand per kilogram mark. However, expect volumes to pick up in September and October, which will most likely keep this market price under pressure over that period. The average onion price remained in its downward trend, decreasing by 3% to R60.75 per 10 kg, with brown onion prices on 59, red onions decreasing to 143, while white onion prices stayed on R60 per 10 kg. The average large onion price traded on 58, mediums on 67, while smalls decreased to R46 per 10 kg. I still think we can follow a similar trend that we saw last year when onion prices came from high levels in May and June and then continued to decrease towards the end of the year. I therefore think we can move below the R50 mark next month and then stay on a lower level until December. The average pepper price decreased slightly to R21.45 per kilogram, while green pepper prices decreased to R17.50. Yellow peppers decreased by 33% to R17.69, while red peppers still traded another 15% higher on R38.80 per kilogram. It looks like the price can decrease over the next 2 weeks with a lower middle month demand and higher volumes, most likely putting pressure on the average market price. Join the excitement around Fieldnet Pivot Watch. Experience unmatched monitoring of any pivot, anytime, anywhere, offering complete peace of mind on your farm. Fieldnet Pivot Watch is not only cost effective, but also time saving. Ready to transform your irrigation? Contact your nearest Zimmatic dealer for a quote on Fieldnet Pivot Watch now. Looking at other market prices, cabbage prices increased to R3.76, garlic decreased to R99 per kilogram, while spinach prices increased to R5.24. Sweet potatoes increased to R8.39, while the average pumpkin price increased to R3.21 last week. Over in the fruit markets, the banana price decreased to R7.26 per kilogram, which is about R131 per 18 kilogram box, with volumes decreasing by 16% week on week. During 2022, we saw abnormally high volumes coming to the market and the price decreasing to around the R5 per kilogram mark during September of 2022. Although we realized extremely high volumes during June and July of this year, we are not quite on the levels of 2022 and the price remaining close to the levels that we saw in 2020 and 2021. I therefore think that we can remain close to the current price levels for September as well, but that the price can jump in October to around the R10 mark due to lower expected volumes over that period. The latest apple price traded on R9.86 last week and remain close to last year's price levels. If we remain on last year's price trend, we can possibly move closer to the R13 per kilogram mark in November. The latest pear price traded on R10.68 per kilogram and is still higher than the previous 4 years. The price will likely remain sideways in September, but then increase significantly from October until December due to lower expected volumes over that period. The orange price increased slightly to R5.49 the past week, with volumes decreasing by 39% week on week. Expect this price to remain mostly sideways. The avo price increased to R15.10 per kilogram last week, with volumes about 23% lower week on week. Feta traded higher on R20.68, Haas actually decreased to R10.99, while Pinkertons increased to R15.02. We can start to see higher prices from September onwards, with prices that will likely move closer to the R25 or even R30 mark in November. The average table grape price decreased to R123, pineapple prices traded higher on R9.05, lemons decreased to R4.30, while the average blueberry price traded lower on R77.86 per kilogram last week. This video is made possible by John Deere and Fieldnet Pivot Watch. Visit our website at amtrends.co.za for more detailed reports, our latest prices and videos. I'm Dr. Johnny van der Merwe, and thank you for watching.